How is it going, YouTube? Malagant here. We're going to be talking about itemization, trading, how it kind of like caught me by surprise, let's say, because like in my beta review and my expectations, I actually like said on the video that like the itemization was on the fence. I'm not necessarily sure about like how it's going on right now. I definitely don't prefer the Diablo 3 style where everything is like account bound or party share. And at the same time, it's just smart loot. Everything is dropping, trying to drop for your character, and you can never find valuable items for the other characters, etc. So like it was very, very on the fence for me. Now that like I have played the game quite a bit more and witnessed what is the itemization like at the end game of Diablo 4 right now, before the season, I can actually talk about it a little bit more, and there was like a very, very pleasant surprise for me about the itemization actually after witnessing all this. Thank you for joining. Please remember to like and subscribe. I do daily Diablo 4 videos, at least I try to. Now, what is it that is good about this system? It is the fact that like trading is still there, unlike Diablo 3. So trading is back again. And let's talk about like a little bit simple things when it comes to finding upgrades for your character, even the godlike items. What is it that is required, right? Let's say you would need a specific legendary power, right? So in this case, for instance, let's look at my chest piece. It says you take 25% less damage, crowd control, and vulnerable enemies. So that would be, if that is like, let's say, the best, the legendary power that I'm looking for from my chess piece, chances are finding that power and also the item perfect rolled is almost impossible. That is always going to be the case. It's going to be either or, basically. The legendary item is going to drop on the floor. You're like, oh, there's a legendary here. You pick it up, and then, maybe a stat or two is going to be different on it, or the legendary power is not going to be well rolled. So this kind of pushes this system into the next phase, where basically legendaries that are dropping on the floor becoming, in the late game especially, becoming items that you are chasing only for the power itself and just take it out at the occultist. So I don't necessarily know how experienced you are with the game, but there's an occultist NPC, and he's capable of like extracting the legendary powers from items. So for instance, when I mouse over this, it says frozen orb stays in place. Pay attention to how it doesn't say imprinted. But when I mouse over this one, it says imprinted. You see that? So that means that like I have found this legendary power on the floor, went to the occultist, I have taken that legendary power out, and then it became an aspect like this. And then I can use this aspect on a yellow item to make it into a legendary with that specific stat. So, to create the perfect item, or to create the item that you would like to use at the late game, or even maybe some mid-game, is, the yellow items are going to be so much better or so much easier to find than just a perfect rolled legendary. So you will need to find the legendary power perfect rolled on the floor and then immediately take it out. And that's also what I have been doing. If you just mouse over all the legendary powers in my bags, most of them, if not all of them, are going to be almost maximum rolled. So those are the ones that I'm going to be taking out for the most part at the occultist. And I'm just carrying them around. I'm putting them into the stash. I'm sure there are like some trash ones over here as well. And as far as I can tell, the level of the legendary doesn't really matter so much either, especially when it comes to like the percentage ones. They don't really matter too much. So for instance, for this one, if this legendary was able to be dropping around like level 25, it would have dropped as 40% at 25, and it would have been useful at late game for me too, as far as I can tell. And every single legendary power is right now in the game, unless they decide to change it, is available to be put on top of any yellow, regardless of their levels. So what does this this entire thing mean? That means that like yellow items are the kings in the game, basically. Because when you find a legendary, you're not that happy unless it's maximum rolled, and if it's maximum rolled, most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, is probably not going to be an upgrade for a late game end game character. And what you will do is take out that power and put it in your stash, or just keep it in your aspects tab in your inventory, and wait for the best yellow item that you can find. Now, there's like a necklace over here, which is by all means not a bad item. It's a little bit too offensive, perhaps, because glass cannon passive that it is giving right here is actually stacking up and granting you not only damage but also damage taken. So it could be a little bit of a double edge, let's say. Or there's like this weapon over here, which is not so bad at all. It's an 818 weapon with like ultimate skill. If you want to scale that, there's a very high roll basic skill damage or a high roll intellect. You will need to decide which one you want to roll away here. When I say roll away, what does it mean? So the occultist NPC again, this guy is capable of, I think it's called enchanting. Just like in Diablo 3, you can in fact roll away one affix on an item that you dislike. I don't really want to ruin these two items, but I can perhaps show it on an item that is perhaps in my bags. Let's go to the occultist really quick. We'll be talking about, this rolling away thing here a little bit too. I don't know what's happened there. What's actually awkward. Approaching the occultist, this guy. The enchant item section is the last tab, so you can put an item on it, and then for a simple price of forgotten souls, you'll be able to select an affix, pay the price, and you will be able to get something else in return, which is going to be binding that item to your account. Remember that, please. This now is account bound, because we will be talking about trading very soon too. So now you have committed this item into your account, but you're capable of, selecting new stats on it. And if you would like to, it's going to be crazy more expensive. By the way, the first time is not that expensive. The second time is pretty expensive. And you could, you could keep on rolling that same stat, mind you. So whichever affix that you have committed to changing is the one that you will keep on changing. The other three stats are now locked onto that item. So this is how you actually re-roll or roll away the stat that you dislike, and always it can be only one of them. And then you make the perfect yellow item that you would like to, and then on top of that, you will need to now place the legendary power that you would like to use on that item. Now your item is prepared. So this is how you're going to be making very good late game and game items in most of the characters, in most of the cases, right? So yeah, about re-rolling these Forgotten Souls, you can find them in the Helltide events. Most of the time, those are from the ores around the place. So, special ores spawning in the Helltide that you will need to click and collect. Apart from that, obviously, they're inside the chests as well sometimes. Let's go back to the bank. In the meantime, why am I talking about all of this, right? So what is the pleasant surprise that I have mentioned at the beginning of the video? Pleasant surprise is, after all this explanation, you get the fact that, I'm guessing you get the fact that, the yellow items are the kings. And the yellow items are completely tradable in this game. So I can potentially find an incredible fire sorcerer item, and I can trade this off for gold. Now, gold is tradable as well in this game. To a random player right next to me, I can open a trade and I can trade with them as much gold as I want, and I can get an item back. Or I can maybe trade services as well. Boosting is crazy big in Diablo. You can get boosted to level 50 with a new character. So thanks to this is a crazy surprise for me that gold has value, unlike Diablo 3, and items, you can chase items from other players. Because at the end of the day, it is a rare item. It's a yellow item, as I called throughout the video. Those are the items that you're chasing, and then you will be slapping on the legendary aspect that you would like to put on top. Remember to, if you find a really good item, remember to not roll it away. Remember to not re-roll enchant the item unless you are committed into keeping the item for your account. And another thing that I'm going to be mentioning is that remember that re-rolling as rare is the way to go instead of rerolling an item when it is legendary. It is ridiculously expensive and it costs you an extra material when you're rerolling a legendary item as in comparison to a rare item. That also, gives you all the more reason to find a rare item, make it perfect, and then put the perfect legendary power on top of it to make the best item in that slot. That is going to be, most of the cases, that is going to be what you want to be doing for every single item slot that you have. That extra material is called Fiend Rose, I want to say. That's also from Helltide. I have a bunch of Fiend Rose, but just I would like you to understand the comparison. Why my rerolling for this chest would cost me about 5 million gold, a Fiend Rose, and a Forgotten Soul, while if I wanted to reroll this chest, it's going to be costing us the next time 200,000 gold and just a Forgotten Soul. So that is a massive difference. You really want to be hitting that stat that you want to before making it legendary. If it's a crazy good item, don't upgrade it before hitting the right stats that you would like to. One last thing that I'm going to be talking about before finalizing this itemization and trading talk is the vendor. Okay. NPCs that are selling an item every hour and their inventory changes. I believe the quality of the items that they're selling is kind of dependent on your level. That being said, they are fully capable of selling ancestral rare items to me at level 100, and they can definitely be very, very interesting. Just so you know, they can be absolute bliss items, just completely random, just like the items that are dropping on the floor. So every now and then, maybe not every hour, but every now and then, definitely check out what sort of items they're actually selling, especially the accessory guy, this one. You can do this in any town. It doesn't necessarily need to be in this is already pretty insane, actually. This neck is pretty legit. Yeah, you can pretty much do it in any town, any big town, actually, because I believe that's the inventory of these things. Let's learn that too, actually, in this video. The eye and the cycle gambit is what is being sold here. Let's go to Curvashad and see if the guy in Curvashad that is selling accessory is going to be selling exactly the same items. So that's what I was going to say. I believe that they're selling the same items within the same hour. And then the inventories are being upgraded, or not upgraded, but changing every other hour. Yeah, the eye and the cycle gambit, as you can see. So every hour, perhaps check out the NPCs. I would definitely suggest checking out rings and amulets. Why rings and amulets? Because they're a little bit easier to they're dropping less often on the floor, and they're a little bit easier to find better items. They're a little bit easier to find upgrades from something like an NPC, as far as I can see, they're not that dependent on the item level. For instance, if you went to a weapons guy, for me to find an upgrade on a weapon, I would need this to give me something most probably around 812 and higher item level, which is very, very difficult. The highest item level that I have seen in the game so far is 820, and I've only seen it like, a handful of times. I think that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope there is something useful in this video for you. And remember to like, please. See you next time, YouTube.